I came to you when you had reached the end. Not while you were still coping. Not while there were still other choices you could make. I came at the very moment when every other option was gone. When the weight inside your heart made every breath feel difficult. When you lay down that night unsure if you even wanted to wake again. That was the moment I entered. Not earlier, not later. Right in the middle of the brokenness. You were not barely hanging on when I came. The last thing holding you had already given way. That was not an accident. It was not because I arrived too late. It was because I came at the one moment when what I wanted to give you could truly grow. When your own strength had nothing left to rely on. I wanted you to understand how I work. I do not wait until you look strong again before I come close. I do not stand back until you appear put together, until you seem ready, until everything looks better. I step into the mess. I enter the broken places. That has always been my way, and it is still my way with you today. For a long time, you have carried the burden of being strong for everyone around you. Not because it came easily, but because letting people see your real pain felt too costly. You learned that very early. Being open brought hurt. Being vulnerable made you easy to wound. Speaking honestly often left you misunderstood, ignored, or hurt. So you built something strong around the deepest part of yourself. Those walls were never meant to stay forever. Yet they slowly became the way you lived every day. Those walls kept you safe. I understand why you built them. But the same walls that stopped more pain from coming and also trapped the old pain inside with no place to leave. You have stayed shut inside with it. Quietly carrying it, silently managing it, while still appearing fine on the outside. As time passed, that hidden weight became heavier than the first wound itself. Declare, I receive this. If these words are touching your heart today, I am asking you to let those walls come down. Not for everyone else. The world does not need to see these places. But let them come down for me, because I cannot heal what remains hidden. I cannot restore what you refuse to place in my hands. The healing I am bringing reaches far below the surface. To heal what is underneath, I must be allowed into what has been locked away. There were things you spoke. There were also things you buried in silence. There were nights that seemed endless and mornings, when you still got out of bed. There were moments when you stayed composed before others, then broke apart the instant you were alone. I know every one of them. Not as a list of your failures, but as the very place where I have come today with the purpose of changing everything. You have spent so much time asking why this happened. Your mind has returned to it again and again, searching for an answer that would finally make sense. Looking for something that would make the pain feel meaningful. You have not found that answer, because it cannot be found by thinking harder. It does not come through endless questions or deeper analysis. What I am giving you today reaches beyond your thoughts. It reaches the place where the hurt truly lives. What wounded you was not meaningless. I am not saying it was good. I am not saying it should have happened. But I will tell you this. You never faced it by yourself. I was already there before you knew I was. Every twist in your journey found me already present, not standing far away watching, but inside the middle of it with you working. You are still here. Pause and let that truth settle inside you. After everything that came against you, you are still here. That is more than your own determination. Your own strength would have been gone long before today. What carried you after your strength ended was not something you created. It was someone holding you. I was the one who carried you through the nights that should have shattered you. I was the one who made a path when the burden became too great for anyone to carry alone. I am not telling you this so that you feel you owe me. I am telling you this so you truly know the God who is speaking to you. The God who never lets go of what he is holding. The God who finishes what he begins. That is the one speaking to you now. I have never ignored the pain you carry. There is nothing you have lived through that escaped my notice. I know exactly what wounded your heart. I know the words you shared with people, and the ones you never spoke aloud. I know the price of those endless nights, and the courage it took to rise each morning. Nothing about it is beyond my reach. Nothing is too damaged for what I am about to do. You may see yourself surrounded by ruins. I see the place where I am about to build. Both are true at the same time. The brokenness is real, and so is the work I am beginning there. My child, your story does not end here. This is the chapter where I step in. There is something important about the place where you stand today. Not everyone who reaches this point remains long enough to hear my voice. Some walk away. Some close their hearts. Some bury the pain so deeply that they simply exist without ever truly healing. But you remained. Whether you chose to stay or simply had nowhere else to go, you remained. And that matters because what I am bringing into this moment requires your presence. And you are here. There is a loneliness that belongs only to suffering. People can survive incredible hardships when someone walks beside them. Almost any burden becomes lighter when it is shared. But when the pain belongs only to you, when nobody else can fully see it, when no one understands what it costs you every single day, that kind of suffering becomes almost impossible to carry. That is the pain you have been living with. You tried to explain it. You searched for words. And either you could not find them, or the people who heard them did not know how to carry them with you. They gave advice when you needed someone to stay. They told you to be stronger when you simply needed someone to understand. They moved on while your heart was still hurting. After enough of those moments, you stopped trying. You locked the pain away and carried it by yourself. I want you to hear this with complete clarity. Your pain is not an exaggeration. You are not making too much of it. There is nothing unreasonable about what you feel. You were deeply wounded. The hurt is real. If others failed to see it, failed to remain with you, or simply did not have the strength to carry it beside you, that speaks about their limits. It does not speak about your worth. Say yes, Lord, if you are ready to let me into this today. Now hear this about every moment when you believed you were completely alone. I was there. Not far away. Not simply watching. I was close, fully present, completely involved. During every silent night that seemed endless, I was there inside that silence. During the moments when you could not put your pain into words, I already understood it. You were never ignored just because no person answered your cry. I was quietly at work through those seasons. The unexpected thought that gave you enough strength for one more day. The unexplainable peace that found you in the middle of your hardest days. The thing that reached you at exactly the right moment and seemed far too perfect to be chance. None of those happened by accident. Each one was a quiet and intentional act from me. You have no idea how many things I kept away from you during your darkest days. How many times I turned danger aside before it reached you. The battles you never faced because I stopped them before they arrived. You never saw those moments. You were not supposed to. But they were real. And they are one reason you are still here today. Loneliness tried to convince you that you had been forgotten. It whispered that your struggle was too small for heaven to notice, too difficult to fix, or that you had been left to carry it by yourself. None of that was true. The loneliness that comes with pain is one of the hardest lies, because it takes a real wound and places a false judgment on top of it. That judgment has never been my word over your life. You are not someone I merely put up with from far away. You are not another name on a list. You are not someone whose prayers I have left waiting without care. You are the one I am speaking to now, personally, directly, and with my full attention. This is not a message meant for everyone in general. It is a personal word. Everything I am saying is shaped around your real life, your real journey, and your real story. I know every part of it. Your suffering did not happen where I could not see it. I was there, not like someone watching from far away, but like a father who refuses to leave his child, no matter what happens. There has never been a place of pain deep enough to place you beyond my reach. There has never been a darkness that could hide you from my eyes. You truly felt alone. That feeling was real, but it was not the truth. The truth is that I was beside you all along. I know what it cost you to keep moving when you felt there was no reason left. I know the exact words that wounded you more deeply than anyone realized. I know the moment you understood that someone you trusted would never be there for you. I know the night you decided to stop asking for help, because disappointment had become too familiar. I know every part of it. None of those moments changed the way I look at you. None of them changed what I have planned for your life. You have always been seen, not from outside your pain, but from within it. That is where I have remained this entire time. Now I am moving beyond simply comforting you. I am coming to change what has been happening. What I am doing is greater than words that encourage you for a little while. I am reaching the source itself. I am dealing with the root. When my work is complete, the loneliness you carried will not simply become easier to manage. It will be replaced by something you have never fully known before. The deep and steady certainty that you are safely held. The two burdens you have carried, the pain itself and the loneliness that surrounded it, end here. Not because everything around you has already changed, but because I have stepped into both the wound and the empty space around it that felt so empty. I am filling that place now. You are not alone in this. You never truly were. From this day forward, let that truth settle deep inside you like a foundation. Not as a feeling that changes with the day, but as a truth you stand on even when your emotions are quiet. What I am about to do in your life is far more than a surface repair. It is not a covering placed over broken places. Many things people call healing are only ways of managing pain. They stop the wound from growing worse, but they never truly heal it. They quiet the symptoms without touching the cause. What I am bringing is not like that. I am going straight to where the pain began. And that asks something from you that is even harder than simply enduring. It asks you to be honest about what is truly inside. There are places in your heart that have stayed closed for many years. Not because you were unwilling. Because you were protecting yourself. You closed those doors because what they hid felt too heavy to carry and too risky to expose. You learned that bringing certain hurts into the light often left you vulnerable in ways that wounded you again. So you locked them away and kept moving forward. To everyone else, your life seemed to continue as normal. But those hidden places never stayed silent. What remains locked away eventually finds another path. It appears through reactions that seem stronger than the moment deserves. Through heaviness without a clear reason. Through patterns that repeat with different people and different situations because the true source has never been healed. You have seen this yourself. You have wondered why the same hurts continue to return. It is because the root remained untouched. It was hidden, not removed. That is what I have come to change. Not with something temporary, but by removing the root itself. This work does not depend on your ability to explain everything that happened or fully understand it. You do not need perfect words. You only need to bring what you have been carrying and place it completely into my hands without keeping part of it hidden. That is what I ask. Not perfection. Not performance. Only the surrender of your burden. There is an act of faith I want to speak about with you now. It matters deeply. Not because I need something from you, but because that act changes the position of your heart. When you willingly release something that truly matters in trust, you declare before the unseen world that your security is not found in what you possess, but in the one who holds your life. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of true value, upon the altar of this work like gold placed upon the scales of this calling. Let it become a seed planted in deep waters, an offering laid upon the stone, not held back because of fear. This is the evidence that your confidence rests in my provision, and that your heart no longer lives in the grip of lack. What you release through faith does not disappear from your life. It goes before you into the harvest I am preparing. There is a difference between believing that I provide and living as though that promise is true. What you surrender with sincere trust becomes a place where faith begins to move. Not because of the size of the gift, but because of what your action says about where your confidence truly rests. It declares that I alone am your source, that everything you have first came from me, and can always be placed back into my hands. It declares that you no longer cling to survival with closed fists, but walk with open hands beside a God whose supply never runs out. The healing I am bringing reaches every part of your life. It is not only for your emotions. It is not only for your spirit. Every place that has been damaged is included in what I am restoring now. Even the areas that have remained unchanged for years. The doors that have looked as though they would never open. The ground that has seemed unable to produce anything. No matter how hard you have worked, I am already moving through every part of it. Not piece by piece, but completely. You have been reaching for me for a very long time. Some prayers came from strong faith. Others came through uncertainty. Still you spoke them. Some came from a place where you barely had any hope left. Only the choice to reach toward me one more time, even when the last attempt seemed to meet only silence. I received every one of them. Not because each prayer was filled with perfect faith, but because you continued to come to me. That steady returning is its own expression of faith. I have seen every moment of it. Deep healing asks you to face what you have spent so long avoiding. That is not punishment. It is the only path forward. You cannot go around a wound and expect to leave it behind. You must walk through it before you reach the other side. But you will never walk through it by yourself. I am walking through it with you. Not standing back. Not speaking from far away. I am present in every moment. Carrying what is too heavy for you, and helping you through what would stop you on your own. What waits beyond this is not simply a slightly better version of the life you have known. It is new ground. A life unlike the one you have been surviving in. I am not taking you back to who you were before the hurt. I am leading you somewhere you have never been. The place I am preparing is not a return to yesterday. It is a step forward into something that has been waiting for this exact season. For the work I am doing now to be complete, my child, the doors I open are not doors you could ever have opened yourself. The road I am making is not one you could have discovered alone. What lies ahead was prepared for the person you are becoming through this journey, not for the person you were when it began. This has always been my plan. That plan has never changed. It is still unfolding. Something happened inside you during your hardest season. Not because suffering created it, but because nothing else could have revealed it. The hardship did not create it. It uncovered what was already there. Some qualities only appear when a person is under pressure. Some strengths only rise when every comfortable option disappears. When I looked at you in your lowest days, I did not see a weaker version of you. I saw a part of you that had never needed to come forward before. I watched you keep moving through things that should have stopped you. I watched you rise on mornings when you had nothing left. I watched you continue reaching toward me even when every circumstance suggested there was no reason to keep reaching. That is not ordinary. Not everyone responds that way. It did not appear from nowhere. It was always inside you. The pressure simply revealed it. Think about Joseph not as a simple story, but as a true example of how I work. He was betrayed by those closest to him. He was sold, abandoned, and left where there seemed to be no escape and no one to defend him. Years went by without any visible improvement. Everything around him suggested that nothing good could come from where he stood. Yet I was working through every season, even the ones that appeared completely still. When the appointed time came, everything changed. The reversal was complete. The very things meant to destroy him became the path through which every promise I had given him came to pass. This is what I want you to remember. Joseph did not understand my work while he was living through it. He did not walk those years with every answer. He walked through uncertainty, sorrow, and the weight of unfairness that made no sense. His faithfulness was not built on understanding. It was built on something deeper. He refused to let his circumstances decide who he was. That is what I ask from you. Not that you understand everything, but that you remain with me. The long season has produced something real inside you, even if you cannot yet describe it. There is a steadiness within you now that was not there before. There is an ability to carry difficulty without immediately breaking. There is a deeper way of walking through life than you once had. You may not feel that today. You may only feel tired. But being tired is not the same as lacking depth. What has been uncovered inside you does not disappear simply because you do not feel strong. I also want to speak about the wounds left by other people. The ones who should have remained but walked away. The ones who made promises they never kept. The ones who saw your struggle and continued on without you. I know those wounds well. I know which ones are still hurting. I know which ones led you to believe that depending on others only brings pain. Those conclusions make sense after what you have lived through. But if they remain, they will also limit where I am leading you. What I will do with those wounds is not simply tell you to forgive and act as though nothing happened. Forgiveness is real, and I will guide you through it. But it is not something you force in a single moment. It is a journey, and I will stay with you through every step. For now, hear this. What those people did does not define your value. I alone determine that. And what I say about you is not what their actions suggested. The part of you that has stayed guarded since those wounds. The part that pulls back, expects disappointment before it comes, and quietly believes trust costs too much. I see that part clearly. I will not force it open. Instead, I will patiently heal what lies beneath it, until there is no longer the same reason to stay guarded. That healing has already started. Some things happen to you that cannot simply be explained away. Some experiences were never meant to be turned into quick lessons or clever answers. They needed to be grieved. Grief over true loss is not weak faith. It is the honest response of someone who loved deeply and experienced real loss, who gave sincerely and was left empty. I allowed you to feel that pain completely. And I still do. But grief was never meant to become your permanent home. It was meant to move through you and leave something different behind. What I am leading you into now is a movement away from the place where you have stood for so long and into ground I have already prepared. Leaving that place is not turning your back on the past. It is simply the next step, and I am the one leading you there. You will not enter this new place as the person you once were before everything happened. Something about the way you walk has changed. You listen more deeply. You understand situations more clearly. You reach toward hurting people with greater honesty, because your words come from experience, not ideas. These are not small rewards meant to make up for your suffering. They are real strengths, and they now belong to you. Let me make something clear to you. The pain you passed through was never the price you had to pay for what I am preparing to place in your hands. That is not how I work. What I give comes as a gift. It is not a prize for suffering or repayment for everything you carried. The difficult season mattered, not because it purchased your future, but because it shaped something within you. That work inside you is real, and I am going to keep building on it. There is a part of your story that one day someone else will need to hear. Not because your pain must immediately serve others before healing reaches you, but in the right season. What you have lived through will become exactly what another heart needs. Not a cleaned-up version with all the hard parts removed, but the true story with its full weight still visible. That kind of testimony reaches places that simple teaching never can. I know the right time for that. You do not need to carry that responsibility today. Only remember this. Nothing you walked through was wasted. I waste nothing. You have come to the place where what I have been doing will begin to appear. Every visible breakthrough, is first preceded by a hidden season. And I make no apology for what stays unseen. The strength of what rises above the ground depends on what was built beneath it. The unseen work I have been doing is almost complete, and what comes from it will not be small. The situation before you now, the one that seems to offer no opening, no escape, no progress, is not the finished picture. What appears to you like a solid wall looks very different from where I stand. I already see beyond it. I know the way through it. I know the right moment, and I am already working there. Your responsibility is not to discover how it will happen. Your responsibility is to remain ready so that when the opening comes, you are prepared to step through it. Think about Moses standing before the sea, not the version people tell after everything worked out. Think about what it really looked like. A powerful army was closing in behind him. A great sea stood before him. There was nowhere to go. Everyone around him knew exactly what that seemed to mean. The fear they felt was real. It made complete sense. By every human measure, the situation was finished. That was the very moment I acted. Not before fear appeared. Not while confidence remained. Not when the answer was obvious. I moved when the situation had become completely impossible. When every plan had failed, when no amount of wisdom or effort could create an escape. The sea opened because there was no other path. My power is seen most clearly when every other option has disappeared. That is where you are today. Do not call it disaster. It is actually the place where you are ready to witness what only I can do. Declare, I trust you, Lord. If you are choosing to believe me today, understand that what I am opening in this next season could not have been entered before now. The doorway ahead requires the person you have become through this journey, not the person you were when it began. There are responsibilities ahead that would have crushed you before this season. There are relationships ahead that first required you to become someone able to carry them well. What is coming was always part of my plan, but you needed to become the right person to receive it, without being overwhelmed. The new season I am giving you reaches into your relationships. The places that have known pain, distance, or emptiness, I am working there. Not every broken relationship will return. Some endings were necessary and complete, but fresh ground is opening before you. I am positioning people. I am bringing connections filled with true purpose into your life. You have not seen them yet. Soon you will. The new season also reaches into the practical parts of your life. I see the financial pressure that has weighed on you. I know the stress it has brought, the limits it created, the constant calculations over what you could and could not do. That pressure is beginning to release. I am moving in those practical areas, not because you have suddenly become more worthy, but because my timing follows a pattern different from yours. My provision never disappeared. Its arrival is happening now. Everything I do follows a pace that does not always match the one you expect. I establish foundations before I build upon them. I prepare the setting before I send what is needed. Much of that preparation happens where you cannot see it. Inside situations, inside the hearts of people I am guiding toward you, inside circumstances coming together in ways you could never arrange yourself. What looks motionless is often anything but. It is preparation happening beneath the surface. Stop measuring my work only by what you can see. The surface is always the last place where change appears. When your eyes finally notice the shift, it has already been developing for a long time beneath what you could observe. The movement you are about to witness did not begin today. It began long ago in the unseen, while you were still wondering if I was working at all. The miracle I am bringing does not depend on everything around you becoming perfect first. It does not wait for your surroundings to cooperate. It goes before you and changes whatever needs to change. It softens what has become hard. It opens what seemed permanently shut. It restores what was taken away. You do not have to make these things happen yourself. You simply need to trust the one who is already making them happen. This new season is not asking you to work harder. It is asking you to move differently, with less striving and greater agreement with me, less forcing and more following. The discipline I desire is not endless pushing until something finally gives way. It is remaining close to me, moving when I move, waiting when I tell you to wait, and stepping forward when I tell you to go. That way of living produces what human effort alone never can. You have already experienced what striving by yourself produces. Now walk this way instead. Those who belong to me never travel through life by themselves. You have a God who walks ahead of you into every day that has not yet arrived. I see the road before your feet ever reach it. I prepare what is ahead while you are still making your way toward it. This is not symbolic language. It is truly how I work, and it is exactly what I am doing for you now. I am preparing the ground, making space, and arranging everything that needs to be ready before you arrive. There is one thing I must speak to directly, because it may be the greatest obstacle before you. You want understanding before you begin. You want every answer before you choose trust. You want to see the entire path before you take the very next step. And I understand why you feel that way. I created your mind to think, to examine, to consider every possibility. That was my gift to you. I do not reject it. But what I am doing reaches beyond what your mind alone can understand. There are parts of this journey that careful thinking cannot uncover. When you insist on understanding everything before trusting me, you are asking me to work only within what you are able to see, even though your view is limited. I see the whole picture. You only see a part of it. The space between those two realities is where faith lives. I am not asking you to stop thinking. I am asking you to recognize where your understanding ends and trust the one whose vision reaches farther. That is not weakness. It is the wisest response a person can have when they truly know they are walking with God. If I am truly who I say I am, then moving forward without every answer is not foolish. It is the most reasonable choice you can make. There were times I led you in ways that seemed confusing. Roads that appeared to have no logic. Doors you kept trying to open until you finally accepted they would remain closed. Other doors opened before you, and you stepped through them with hesitation, because you did not understand why. Every one of those moments had a purpose from where I stood. I was never acting without reason. I was working from knowledge you did not yet possess. There is a level of trust that can only grow after a journey like yours. A trust that is no longer built on excitement or favorable circumstances. A trust that remains steady even when everything you can see argues against it. That is the trust growing inside you. While it was happening, it did not feel like growth. It felt like simply making it through another day. But what it produced is a depth of dependence that could not have come any other way. You are not the same person who first entered this season. The way you respond has changed. You no longer react as you once did. The things that once pulled you into fear take much longer now, or they no longer pull you there at all. The people and situations that once controlled your emotions no longer have the same hold over you. You did not create that change by yourself. It is the result of the work I have been doing within you. And it is lasting. You will not become the person you used to be. The identity I am forming in you does not depend on comfortable circumstances. It does not need approval from people to remain secure. It does not rely on others understanding you, agreeing with you, or believing in the path I have given you. Its foundation is what I say about you. And my words do not change with changing seasons. They do not shift because of your performance, your emotions, or your present circumstances. This is what I say. You belong to me. You are chosen. You have everything you need for what lies ahead. The whole path cannot yet be seen from where you stand. That is not a mistake. That is the way I lead my people. I keep them close enough that they depend on me for each next step. That closeness is not a disadvantage. It is the safest place you can be. Walk with me through this. Do not rush ahead of me, guessing where I am leading. Do not stay behind me, waiting until every answer is clear before you move. Walk beside me one step at a time. Stay close enough to hear my direction when it comes. That is the pace that brings the greatest fruit. Not because it is the fastest, but because it keeps you where I can work through you, not only for you. There are people I am preparing to bring into your life during this new season. They carry something you need, and you carry something they need as well. These meetings are not random, they have been arranged. Not every one of them will be obvious. Some will begin quietly, and only reveal their purpose as time passes. Your part is to remain open. Not careless, but truly willing to receive the unexpected, the unfamiliar, the person who does not fit the place you normally would have looked. The people you continue to pray for, the ones you love deeply, the ones whose burdens remain in your heart even when words fail you, I see them also. I am working in their lives too. None of the prayers you have offered for them have disappeared. Every one has reached me, and what I am doing in you is connected to what I am doing in them. The changes happening inside you create movement around you. Those closest to you will begin to sense it, even if they cannot explain why. The identity I am giving you does not erase your past. It does not ask you to pretend your suffering never happened or make it seem smaller than it was. What you endured remains part of your story. I am not removing it. I am writing the next chapter, and that chapter does not begin with what happened to you. It begins with who you have become. The one who endured. The one who came through. That is the place from which I am leading you now. And it is much stronger than you know. There is an authority that comes only through experience. Not the authority that comes from a title or position, but the authority of someone who has truly walked through the valley and returned. When you speak to another person living through what you once faced, they will hear something genuine in your voice. They will recognize that your words are not borrowed. They were purchased through experience. That kind of voice reaches hearts in a way that polished words and simple knowledge never can. At the right moment and in the right place, I will use that voice. I will place before you the exact person who needs to hear it. Everything I have shared with you today comes down to this. I am no longer waiting for another time. This is the time, not the next moment. Not some future version where you finally feel prepared, or where every circumstance falls into place. This very moment, with all its questions, wariness, and uncertainty. This is the moment I have chosen, and I never choose carelessly. The blessing I have spoken over you is no longer simply approaching. The decision has already been made. What I release from my throne is not uncertain or dependent in the way you imagine. It is finished. The question is no longer whether it will come. The question is whether you are ready to receive it. Whether your hands are open, or whether they are still tightly holding the things you have been trying to control. Fear causes hands to close. Not because you have failed, but because that is the natural response. After living through what you have lived through, when you have spent so long carrying everything by yourself, holding tightly becomes a habit. Letting go no longer feels safe. It feels dangerous. Yet that tight grip is exactly what keeps you from receiving what is new. You cannot receive what I am placing before you, while your hands remain filled with everything you have been trying to carry alone. I am asking you to let go of the need to control everything. Not to abandon your responsibility. You are still called to take action, to care well for what I have placed in your hands, and to keep moving. But the outcomes belong to me, not to your tight grip. Trust is not doing nothing. Trust is choosing to do your part, while placing my part into my hands instead of trying to carry both together. What I have spoken over your life is personal. It is not a promise given to everyone in exactly the same way. It has been shaped for your life, your circumstances, and every detail of the road you have traveled. When I work in someone's life, I do not work in broad ideas. I work personally, knowing every detail that matters. The word I have given you today was prepared for your life, just as a key is made to fit one specific lock. The doors that are about to open have been prepared for you. They belong to you. The provision I am sending matches exactly what you need. I know what is inside your home. I know how deeply lack has weighed on you and on the people you love. I am dealing with that burden directly. Not someday. Now you will begin to see movement where everything seemed still. You will receive in places where you had stopped expecting anything. You will discover open paths where you were certain only walls remained. This is not an overstatement. It is the reality already unfolding beyond what your eyes can see. The work taking place where you cannot yet see it is about to produce results that cannot be ignored. Do not reject what I send simply because it arrives in a way you did not expect. The answer may come through another person, through a new opportunity, or through a doorway opening in a place you were not even watching. Remain watchful. Remain open. The answer is already on its way. This is the point in your story where the ground begins to change, not where every hardship suddenly disappears and joy replaces it all at once, but where the burden starts becoming lighter, where the things that stood against you begin turning in your favor. A morning when your first thought is no longer fear. A situation that has remained stuck suddenly begins to move. A word reaches your heart at exactly the right moment. These will be the first signs. When you see them, recognize them. Allow yourself to believe that what I have spoken is true, because it is. The covenant I made with you does not depend on your ability to remain perfect. It depends on my faithfulness, and I am always faithful. I do not change because circumstances change. I do not take back what I have spoken, because life looks different on a certain day. The word I gave you today will still stand tomorrow, and through every season that follows. Return to it whenever circumstances seem to argue against it. Return to it whenever your confidence feels weak. It is anchored in me, and I remain unshaken. What I am asking from you now is not something great or dramatic. It is one simple step. Take the next step, the one direction I am showing you. Just begin with that single step toward me, and I will take care of the rest. Everything I have spoken today, everything I have already begun for you, I will bring it to completion. I never start what I do not finish. I never bring someone to the edge of change only to leave them standing there. Something has been placed inside you during this moment. Not just a feeling that disappears when life becomes difficult again. A deeper knowing, a change in the foundation of what you now believe is possible for your life. That change is real. It will remain. It will continue working inside you long after today has passed. The people you love, the ones you constantly lift before me in prayer, are also in my hands. I am not working only in your life. I am working in theirs as well. Every request you have brought before me for them has been heard. Keep bringing them to me. I hear every prayer spoken for those you hold close. And I am working in their lives with the same loving purpose that I am working in yours. The future I am leading you into is not simply a better version of the past. It is entirely new ground. A place prepared for the person you have now become. Created for this very season. And you are entering it one step at a time with me walking beside you. Holding what you cannot carry. Turning what seems impossible into reality. Say, I am ready. If you are stepping into everything I have spoken over you today, we run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.